Welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, where we discuss, examine, honor, and celebrate all things college football across the entire landscape, but with a very special emphasis on our beloved black and gold squads of the Missouri Tigers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Welcome back. Pleased to see you again. Today is my part 3 of my big bowl season, bowl bonanza previews and predictions episode. Here it is. It's Thursday morning, December 30th. We are right in the midst of bowl season. It is in full effect. The big time bowl games actually start today. The first of the New Year's Six bowl games is tonight, the Peach Bowl between Michigan State and Pittsburgh. Welcome back. I'm your host, Blair Parks. Great to have you back with me. And as always, I'd like to take some time to say thank you for your support, your viewership, your involvement. Without you, none of this would be possible. Once again, I don't do this for any sort of financial or monetary gain. It's strictly just a hobby. And it's a pleasure being able to share my love, my passion of college football with you, the black and gold family, and all of you college football crazies, you fans from coast to coast on the weekly. So welcome back. I've got a great episode lined up for you today. But before I say any more, let me start off by saying, Merry New Year! Happy. In this country, we say Happy New Year. Thank you for correcting my English. Happy New Year. Woo! That's right. New Year's Day, 2 days away. And by the way, Trading Places, one of the most unknown, best Eddie Murphy movies you will ever see. Absolutely will recommend seeing it if you haven't watched it in a long time. Rewatch it. It is comedy. It is a comedy classic. And it is a New Year's movie, so now is the perfect time to watch Trading Places if you have never seen it, or if it's been a while since viewing Trading Places. So today's episode, as the norm, the very last segment, I'm going to do my third and final Bowl Bonanza Pick'em segment. We've got 14 bowl games left for me to pick and give you a little preview of, including the big ones, all of the New Year's Six games, the college football playoff semifinal matchups, and the Citrus Bowl on January 1st between our beloved Iowa Hawkeyes and the Kentucky Wildcats. But before that, as the norm, if you've watched my previous episodes, if not, if this is your first time, welcome. I highly would like to recommend to you to check some of those out. I also want to start off today's episode by giving you some updated storylines and headlines across the entire college football landscape, just a little bit of transfer portal news, and also want to give you some bowl game or bowl season storylines and trends. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first segment here I have under storylines and headlines is, unfortunately, I have to mention this, is the bowl games. We have several of them that have been affected and even canceled outright by COVID-19. Across the nation, we are seeing a very large increase and spike of COVID-19, primarily due to the Delta and Omicron variants. And a week and a half ago, when I shared the very first breaking news of our first affection, that would have been Texas A&M, who was scheduled to play in the Tax Slayer Bowl against Wake Forest. Texas A&M was the first team to officially withdraw from their bowl during the bowl for this year. And unfortunately, I said at the time, I think that was going to be the first of many, but hopefully not too many. But since then, we've had several bowl games that have been announced that have been affected or outright canceled due to COVID-19 issues within a few college football programs. And those are, the first game that was officially canceled was the Hawaii Bowl, which was supposed to take place on Christmas Eve. That was canceled between Memphis and Hawaii on the islands. There was COVID-19 issues within Hawaii's program. The next one that was canceled was the Military Bowl, which was due to be played between Boston College and East Carolina. That bowl game was canceled due to COVID-19 issues within the Boston College football program. The next bowl game that was canceled, and this was one that was canceled merely hours before kickoff. Both teams had traveled, were suited up. It was pregame. The Holiday Bowl was canceled between UCLA and NC State due to COVID-19 issues within the UCLA football program. And initially, NC State was hoping to find a replacement team to face off against. For a couple days, they sent out feelers to teams who might be interested to play North Carolina State, but unfortunately, there were no takers. From an analytic perspective, was just not going to be able to happen. So as of yesterday, they officially canceled the Holiday Bowl. Next one that was canceled was the inaugural Fenway Bowl, which this was the second year in a row that the inaugural Fenway Bowl at Fenway Park in Boston was canceled. Last year was canceled due to the initial pandemic year of COVID-19. Same thing this year. That inaugural bowl game was canceled between SMU and Virginia due to COVID-19 issues within the Virginia football program. Now, the Taxslayer Bowl. The Taxslayer Bowl is still on. I just mentioned Texas A&M was slated to play in this game against Wake Forest, but because there was plenty of heads-up notice, the Taxslayer Bowl, they were able to find a replacement team to face Wake Forest, and that comes from Rutgers. That's right, the 5-7 Rutgers Scarlet Knights from the Big Ten are returning to a bowl game after a long hiatus. And how this process went down, what the NCAA did to find a replacement team is you look at the next in line. This would be the teams that went 5-7, and then based off of not only that record, but their APR scores as far as within academic scores, Rutgers was number one on the list. They were given first dibs to either accept or decline the playing in the Taxslayer Bowl, and obviously Rutgers accepted. So that is one more team from the Big Ten officially making a bowl game. So well done to Rutgers, definitely heading in the right direction. So the Taxslayer Bowl is on for tomorrow on New Year's Eve, but going to look a little bit different than the initial announcement. So now it is, once again, Rutgers against Wake Forest. And the Sun Bowl. The Sun Bowl was affected. It has not been canceled. Initially, this game was supposed to be played between Washington State and the Miami Hurricanes. There were COVID-19 issues within the Miami football program. The Sun Bowl took some time, sent out feelers to find a replacement team. That team was actually found in the Central Michigan Chippewas, who were already in a bowl game. They were slated to play in the Arizona Bowl, which Tucson is only a few hours away from El Paso, where the Sun Bowl is played. So Central Michigan, they asked for a waiver from the MAC and the NCAA. So they are going to simply be changing bowl destinations. So now, instead of playing in the Arizona Bowl, they'll be playing in the Sun Bowl against the Washington State Cougars. So this bowl game is still on. And that is really a primetime, smart, intelligent move by Central Michigan. Because, hey, they still get to play in a bowl game. But the payout for the Sun Bowl, compared to the Arizona Bowl, from what I read, each team in the Sun Bowl is given $3.5 million, compared to the Arizona Bowl, which the payout, I should say, to the participating teams was $350,000. So buku bucks for Central Michigan. And also, this is a nationally televised bowl game, which they all are, but it's one that's on CBS, national, so local, any local outlets, as far as channels, you'll be able to view Central Michigan. So those are, as of right now, the bowl games that have been canceled or affected and revamped by COVID-19. Hopefully that'll be it. Knock on wood, because here we are this close. And after last season we saw so many cancellations and makeup games, or some that could not be rescheduled. Last year was a season like none other due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But this regular season, we pretty much got through unscathed. We only had one game, and that was in the Pac-12 between Cal and USC that had to be rescheduled due to COVID-19. But now we're seeing it run rampant here in bowl season, just like it did last regular season in college football. So hopefully we don't have any more. Here we are on the precipice. Just around the corner is the college football playoff bowl games, the New Year's Six. So hopefully no more of these become affected or canceled. That would be an absolute tragedy to be this close and to see something happen. So that's the updated news on what COVID-19 is doing, what it's the effect it's having on the current bowl games and bowl season. Now let's move on to a little bit of transfer portal news. And just one noteworthy transfer to share with you today, and it is a little bit of sombering because it does deal with and relate to one of our beloved black and gold squads, the Missouri Tigers. Last week, Missouri did play in the Armed Forces Bowl against Army. Tough fought game. I mean, Army absolutely, whether you want to hear this or not, or you agree with it, I'm talking to you Missouri fans, you SEC fans, Army was a better team. They had a better record, and they were favored in the game. Actually, it went up to a 7-point favorite, especially once Tyler Beatty, the do-all offensive weapon for Missouri, the SEC's leading rusher, the day before did announce he was opting out for the game. So Army was a better team. But what made matters worse is most of the year Connor Bazelak, the quarterback from Missouri, has injury issues. He wasn't 100% healthy for this game, and he actually ended up not getting the start. Instead, Missouri went with freshman quarterback Brady Cook, making his first ever start for Missouri, and overall his numbers were good. He ended up passing, he went 27 of 34 for 238 yards passing, 1 touchdown, and to 0 interceptions. So not a bad first go-around for Brady Cook, but as I stated, it was a very hard-fought game. It came down to the last 3 minutes of play. Each team's traded scores, and Army was able to walk off with a winning field goal, 24-22. But the fallout from that game, the very next day, unfortunately, and this is something that both myself and Charlie, my former co-host, Missouri fan number 1, we've mentioned this, that we believed, we kind of saw this coming. If Connor Bazelak was going to be sat for this bowl game, and if Brady Cook, who absolutely had been gaining a lot of traction, a lot of hoorah within the program, fans were calling for a change, wanting a change, to where we thought and we even forecasted that if this would happen, and if Brady Cook would look good moving forward, he might potentially be Missouri's starting quarterback for next season. And it looks like that has come to fruition, and that made Connor Bazelak enter his name into the transfer portal. So the quarterback room at Missouri, right now anyway, becomes a little bit thin, but they are highly anticipating the arrival of quarterback Sam Horn from Georgia next season. So overall, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But in the meantime, we thank Connor Bazelak for everything he did for Missouri this year and last season, and we hope him nothing but best of luck moving forward. And based on his starting experience, starting quarterback in the SEC, he absolutely will find a landing spot. He'll find a home. Somebody will absolutely pick him up, so we expect to see him on the playing field in the future. And once again, best of luck to you. Get it done. Smash it. Kill it. But hopefully just not against Iowa and Missouri. That's it. So that's the only transfer portal news I have to share with you. Next storyline and headline is I want to share a little bit of trends and storylines and headlines from the ongoing occurring bowl season. And right now, I've got to say this. I mean, this has been, once again, a season unlike any other. It has absolutely moved into bowl season. During the regular season, we saw so much parity and knockoffs and upsets. The unbelievable happened, and it is absolutely repeated in bowl season. And we probably should have expected this. The first thing I'm going to say is bowl season has absolutely belonged and been owned by the non-Power 5 programs. I mean, no matter what happens from here out, that is going to be one of my lasting memories of this bowl season. It might end up being the biggest story of this bowl season when smoke clears and everything has played out. Obviously, Cincinnati has the opportunity to be the biggest storyline from this bowl season if they can knock off number 1 Alabama and get to or win the national title. But that really that's really expecting a lot out of them. Stay tuned on that, and I'll go ahead and break down how I see that game playing out in my Pick'em segment next. But absolutely right now, this bowl season is all about the non-Power 5. We've had 6 wins of the non-Power 5 programs over either Power 5 opponents or what you could say are upper-level Division I independents. And those would be the Notre Dames and the BYUs of the world. Even though they're not officially Power 5 teams, but with their brands, their histories, their rankings, to me, Notre Dame and BYU are absolutely Power 5 teams. So when you look at that, we've had 6 actually, I'm sorry, 5 plus 1. We've had 6 upsets of the non-Power 5 over Power 5 and upper level independents. So let's go ahead and let me list these again for you. Utah State was the first. The Aggies pulled off the upset over Oregon State from the Pac-12. Well done, Utah State. UCF, that's right. The Knights in Gus Malzahn's inaugural season in Orlando. They knock off in-state rival Florida from the SEC. That is a huge win for the UCF program moving forward, especially within the Sunshine State for recruiting, for bragging rights. And just so you remember, I mean, Auburn did pay Gus Malzahn $21 million to go away at the conclusion of last season. And look what he's done there. I mean, he's absolutely kept them relevant. Huge bowl win. And in a little bit, we'll see the opposite. What has happened to Auburn since they basically kicked him to the curb and gave him the $21 million check? So well done, Knights of UCF. The next one, even though they were ranked, and we all knew, if you follow college football this season, you would know that the Houston Cougars are an excellent team. At one point, they had won 11 games in a row at one point. They faced off with Cincinnati in the American Athletic Conference title game, but lost to Cincinnati. But the Houston Cougars defeated the Auburn Tigers of the SEC. So there's another big-time upset of a non-Power 5 team over a Power 5 team. And Auburn, the wheels have really came off. They ended their regular season 500, 6-6. They lose in this bowl game, which was basically a home game for Auburn, played in Birmingham, Alabama. I mean, basically not even a partisan crowd. Overwhelmingly Auburn faithful there, and Houston beats them in Birmingham. So Auburn ends up 6-7, not the first year that Coach Brian Harsin envisioned there on the plains at Auburn. And once again, I got to remind you, I mean, $21 million. You kick Gus Malzahn away, not because he had losing seasons, mind you. He just couldn't compete and, win the SEC West consistently. Even though he did have, I believe, 3 wins head-to-head over Lord Nick Saban. But hey, you pay the guy $21 million to go away, and this is what you get. Just saying, may not have been the best decision there by the Auburn brass. Next is the Air Force. The Air Force Academy, the Falcons. Hats off anytime we see a Service Academy team get a bowl victory. It is a big event. It is news. Air Force knocked off Louisville from the ACC. Well done. Congratulations to the Flyboys of Air Force. Next, this is one that I did talk about before, is UAB. UAB knocked off and defeated number 13 BYU, which once again I know is an independent, but they are basically a Power 5 team. They knocked off number 13 BYU, easily the biggest win in program history for UAB. Well done, Blazers. Now the last one is one I just mentioned during the transfer portal news. Army, which is an independent, a lower level independent. So to me, lower level independents are non-Power 5 teams. So Army knocks off our Missouri Tigers from the SEC. Congratulations to the Black Knights. Good season, 9-win season for Army, by the way. Very good season, well done. So congratulations to all of the non-Power 5 and lower level independents on their wins over Power 5 opponents or upper echelon independents. So this is great. I mean, it has been all about those teams here during bowl season, and I am so proud of them. And once again, you tell me these games don't matter. Give me a friggin' break. Tell that to Air Force. Tell that to Army, or UAB, or Utah State, or UCF, or Houston. Tell them that. You might be a little bit surprised what they might say or do to you saying that to them. Now, the next storyline or headline I have from bowl season is the conference standings. And wow, this is absolutely a little bit of a shock and a surprise. Not quite to the level of shock and awe, but it is shocking. But it is still early in bowl season for some of these conferences as they just started playing games just a handful of days ago. But right now in the lead, and they have completed all of their games, is the Mountain West. They end up with a record of 5-1. Well done, Mountain West. Next would be the American Athletic. They sit currently at 3-0. They have one team remaining, and that is Cincinnati. So huge opportunity for the American Athletic. Well done there. Next would be, even though they've only played, I'd say next would be the Sun Belt Conference. The Sun Belt went 3-1 in their bowl season. They have 0 teams remaining left to play. So 3-1, excellent record for you, the Sun Belt. Next, as far as teams that have completed, let's go with Conference USA. They went 3-5 overall in their bowl season. Not too shabby for Conference USA. And now as far as teams that are still playing, I already said the American Athletic is leading 3. They're 3-0. Next is the Big Ten. That's right. The Big Ten is back. They've only played 2 games, but they are 2-0 on bowl season. Well done, Big Ten. You make us proud. They have wins over 2 fellow Power 5 teams. Minnesota defeated West Virginia from the Big 12. And yesterday in the Pinstripe Bowl, Maryland absolutely throttled, waxed that ass of Virginia Tech from the ACC. Well done, Big Ten. They have 8 teams that still have yet to play. So plenty of games remaining in the Big Ten. The MAC, they have 1 game remaining, and they currently sit 2-5 in bowl season. I kind of thought the MAC would do a little bit better than that. The Pac-12. Let's go next to the Big 12. The Big 12 currently is 500. They're 2-2 in bowl season. They have 3 teams yet to play, so absolutely can end with a above 500 record in bowl season. Not too shabby so far for the Big 12. The ACC, right now they are 1-2 in bowl season. They have 3 teams yet that need to still play, so absolutely can end up with a winning record, can the ACC. Now let's get down to the bottom. The Pac-12 currently sits 0-2. They are winless, but they only have 3 teams yet to play. So hopefully they can rattle off 3 wins and get above 500. We'll see what plays out with the Pac-12. And now the biggest shock. But then again, it's not really a surprise to me. And I think I'm going to have a separate episode, a very special episode. This is really a case study that I want to look at, but I want to see how it plays out the rest of bowl season. But right now, believe it or not, the mighty SEC, where it just means more, they are sitting there 0-4 in bowl season, but they still have 8 teams that still need to play their bowl game. Currently, there is one playing right now as I'm recording this. The Duke's Mayo Bowl is going on between North Carolina and South Carolina. Quick score update on that. South Carolina is up to a big early lead. Looks like it's 18-0 at the end of the first quarter. A little surprised by that. But just to see the SEC in the basement, the cellar dweller, little surprising, even though it is very early and they have several teams still left to play. But some of you might be, oh my goodness, shocked. I'm not. And I'm going to share that with you on a very special episode at the end of bowl season. To where, granted, yes, the SEC, it just means more. They continue to want to promote their brand, their conference, put it on a pedestal, which they should. I mean, the way they've dominated the national championship, absolutely, with Alabama. I mean, because of the one team, one coach, one man, and Nick Saban. So can they absolutely say they are the home of the national champion and championships during the playoffs era? Absolutely. But can they always say that they're the best conference? I don't think so, SEC. And I'm going to tell you why in a very special episode in a matter of days, why I believe that, and I will give you concrete evidence for you to say that you cannot claim to be the best and only, like they do in some of their eyes, the best and only conference in college football. I'm going to give you good evidence. I'm going to make a good sticking argument and good points to why I don't believe so. Especially this year does kind of prove it, and it does. But that is it. That's the storylines, headlines for bowl season, a couple trends and stories. Definitely want to keep an eye on that for the conference standings during bowl season, because that's something that these conferences absolutely take forward with them into spring practice and summer camp. The bragging rights absolutely means a lot for these conferences. And also it lets them know where they really stand when they stack up to teams nationally. So I definitely think there is a lot that we can take from the end-all conference standings during bowl season. A lot of prestige and bragging rights and pride on the line as well. Now, my final segment for the day, it's time for part 3 of 3 for my Bowl Bonanza episodes. Time to play some Pick'em. And right now, the ongoing competition is still going on between myself and Charlie, my former co-host, Missouri fan number 1. And these are previews and picks for bowl games that will take place today, December 30th, through the end of bowl season, which the last game is played on January 4th. So these games do not include the national championship. I'm going to have a very special episode to preview and predict the national title game a few days before that game kicks off. So to give you the updated standings between myself and Charlie, coming into bowl season, I trailed Charlie by 12 games. And the way bowl season has gone, that is absolutely, it was going to take a Christmas miracle, and it is the season of miracles. I had some faith in that and a little bit of hope, but it's very obvious now that I am not going to be able to tie or overtake Charlie for the overall lead. So at this point, I am going to humble myself. I concede victory to you. Congratulations, Charlie. I will humble myself and come clean in front of you as well, the Black and Gold family. That's your host, is going to go down in flames for the overall title and bragging rights for the first season of the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog Pick'em tournament. But there is a chance that I can win bowl season. So that would mean a lot to me. If I could at least say, well, you are the overall champion, but I'm the guy who owned and dominated bowl season, I still can do that. As of right now, the bowl season standings after last night's bowl games, I'm sitting at a record of 11-12, good for 48% on bowl season to this point. And Charlie's at 14-9, good for 61%. So I only trail him by 3 games. I can absolutely tie or overtake him, especially when I looked at the picks for these last 14 bowl games. I believe we have 6 or 7 disagreements. So I've got a shot, but I'm putting all my eggs into one basket. This is it. You had one chance, one shot. And this is my one chance and my one shot. So here it goes. Let's go ahead and do some pick'em, shall we? Let me get a quick swig of water here. And thank you once again for everything. Please, I always promote, ask, and encourage for any likes, any shares. Smash the subscribe button. Let's get the word out there about the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. And feel free to comment. Let me know if I'm doing good, bad, ugly, if I've botched something, if you agree or disagree, if there's something I've left out, or if there's something you'd like me to discuss, or if you want to give me your input or your opinion on this or that, comment. But remember, let's all comment and act like adults. That's all I ask. Let's keep it PG-13 at max, all right? So let's get into it. So I've got my picks, and I got a little bit of side notes about these bowl games. The first game up is the bowl game going on right now, the Duke's Mayo Bowl between North Carolina and South Carolina. Little regional arch rivalry there. I love that between the states. Gotta love the Carolinas. Little side note here, South Carolina was 2-8 last season. And what a turnaround. They're 6-6 going into the bowl game. They have a 9-14 bowl record overall. Do the Gamecocks of South Carolina. And North Carolina, something to note, that quarterback Sam Howell, who will be drafted in the upcoming NFL draft, he'll be playing on an NFL roster next year. Probably going to be first, maybe second round draft pick. He is playing in today's game, but right now it's not really doing much. It's now 18-7 is the updated score in that bowl game. South Carolina is still up early in the second quarter. So how we see this game playing out, Charlie, he likes North Carolina. He thinks they've got too much offense. I absolutely agree. I think when Sam Howell gets going, he's going to be the difference maker. He's going to increase his draft stock. Even though his team comes in 6-6, he has opted to play. That speaks volumes about his character. This game matters to him. We both like North Carolina to win. Next bowl game up is later today, the Music City Bowl down there in good old Nashville. This game is between Tennessee from the SEC and Purdue from the Big Ten. The first of the matchups of our two glorified and great conferences, the Big Ten, myself, and Charlie's SEC, and Missouri's SEC, the conferences. Little side note here, Tennessee went 7-5 in Coach Josh Heupel's inaugural season there on Rocky Top. Great season. I told you, Tennessee folks, give him a chance. In the past, you absolutely have been a fan base that could not stay out of your own way. What a great season for Josh Heupel. With all the turnover there, all of the issues internally at Tennessee, he was able to guarantee Tennessee a winning record this season. Well done. Well done, Coach Josh Heupel. Purdue, noteworthy here. 2 of their best players have decided to opt out of this game, and wide receiver David Bell, who will be a first or second round draft pick, and defensive end George Karlaftis, stud rusher, edge rusher for Purdue. They're both out. Let's see how we see this game playing out. Charlie, he likes Tennessee, thinks there's too much pace and space for them against Purdue. Me, I'm actually going with the Boilermakers. I know this team is dangerous. I mean, this season, they defeated not 1, but 2 top 5 teams. They took down our number 2 ranked at the time Iowa Hawkeyes and the number 3 ranked Michigan State Spartans. Two, you give Coach Jeff Brom, who is an offensive genius, this many weeks to prepare and get a game plan for Tennessee. This is a dangerous, dangerous matchup for Tennessee. Their athleticism, their speed, they definitely have the edge, but Purdue is absolutely, I think, going to be able to neutralize that. So that's why I'm taking the Boilermakers in this matchup. Next game up is the Peach Bowl, the first of the New Year's Six bowl games on the docket between Michigan State and Pittsburgh, the ACC champions. Little side note on this game, Michigan State, two of the best players, the two most noteworthy players in this game, unfortunately have decided to opt out. For Michigan State, running back Kenneth Walker III, old canine, a guy who should have been a Heisman Trophy finalist, was an absolute snub. He has decided to opt out for Michigan State. And for Pittsburgh, quarterback Kenny Pickett, who was a Heisman Trophy finalist, he has also decided to opt out of this game. So it's really disappointing that this is a big level game, but yet we're seeing two opt-outs of this magnitude. But best of luck to them in the NFL. Let's see how we see this game coming out. And this Michigan State team, got to give them props. Prior to the season, I believe they came off a 2-win season last year. They were pegged by Vegas. Their over-under for total wins was 3. And here they are in a New Year's Six bowl game. Well done to Michigan State on the season and Coach Mel Tucker. Let's see how we see this game playing out. Charlie, he likes Pittsburgh even without Kenny Pickett. Me, if it would have been Kenneth Walker opting out, but Kenny Pickett playing, I absolutely would have picked Pitt. But I think both of these stars opting out, they kind of cancel each other. I still trust Michigan State with what they have playing, and their quarterback is in, and a couple of their big-time offensive weapons are still playing. So I'm taking the Spartans of Michigan State to upset Pittsburgh. Next game we got is the Las Vegas Bowl between Wisconsin and Arizona State. So pseudo, maybe home game for Arizona State. Side note on this game, Wisconsin, the Badgers from Madtown, have won 4 of their last 5 bowl games. Do I think it's going to be 5 out of 6? Let's see right now. Charlie, he likes Wisconsin in this game, and so do I. I think they are just way too physical. They will absolutely... Arizona State has not played a physical presence or team like this Wisconsin team unless they played Utah during this season, which I don't think they did. Actually, I believe they did. So they've played a team that can physically maybe match Wisconsin. But yeah, we both definitely see Wisconsin controlling the line of scrimmage, just gut punch after gut punch. We both like Wisconsin big in this game, actually. Next game is the Tax Slayer Bowl, one of the 2 bowl games that was affected by COVID-19. This is tomorrow between Wake Forest and Rutgers from the Big Ten. Side note on this, Wake is gunning for the program's second 11-win season ever in their history. What a great season for Wake Forest. And Rutgers, their last bowl game was back in 2014. So welcome back to postseason Rutgers. For this game, this is how we see it playing out. Charlie and I, we both like Wake Forest. We think they have way too much offense for Rutgers. A great story for Rutgers to make a bowl game. Definitely they are trending in the right direction as a program under Coach Greg Schiano in his second tilt at the helm of Rutgers, but just not this season. Wake is going to have way too much firepower. We both like the Demon Deacons. Next game is the Sun Bowl on New Year's Eve. The other game that was affected by COVID-19. We have Washington State versus Central Michigan. Little side note on this game. Central Michigan, whether you know this or not, now you will be aware of it. They actually have on their team the nation's leading running back and rusher. And that is Mr. Lee Nichols, who led all of Division I football, rushing with 1,710 yards. And Washington State coming into this bowl game is a even 500 in bowl games. They are at 8-8 is their bowl record. Something's got to give. Let's see how we see this game playing out. Charlie, he likes Washington State's offense against Central Michigan. Me, I like the Chippewas. I think they'll be able to control the line of scrimmage, the pace of play. I think Lee Nichols will have a big-time game rushing. I think they're excited, more excited to be there than the Cougars. I like the Chippewas out of the MAC to pull the upset. Next game we got is the Outback Bowl on New Year's Day. Arkansas from the SEC faces off with Penn State from the Big Ten. Another matchup of Big Ten versus SEC. Little side note here on this game. Arkansas's best offensive player, wide receiver, Treylon Burks, has opted out of this game. And there's a lot of opt-outs in this game, unfortunately. And also Penn State's best offensive weapon, wide receiver Jahan Dotson, has also opted out. Also, on Penn State, 2 of their starting linebackers have opted out and a starting safety. So they'll be down a lot of starters, will the Penn State Nittany Lions. But welcome back to bowl season, Arkansas. Sam Pittman got that team trending in the right direction as well. It's been a long time. Welcome back, Arkansas. Now, how we see this game playing out, even with Jahan Dotson out and those numerous defensive starters, Charlie likes the Penn State Nittany Lions to get it done. Me, I think Penn State is just too short-handed, and I think Arkansas finds a way. I'm going with the Hogs, Pig Sooie, to get it done on New Year's Day. Next game up is the Fiesta Bowl, another of the New Year's 6 bowl games. This is between the Oklahoma State Cowboys and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. First ever matchup between these two storied programs and schools. Little side note on this game. Notre Dame, in bowl games of this magnitude and caliber, including the BCS era bowl games and the New Year's 6 games, they are a combined 0-7 since 1998. Ouch. Maybe the Fighting Irish can reverse that trend in this bowl game. And this is also, like I said, the first ever meeting. Let's see how we see this game playing out. Charlie and I, we both love Oklahoma State. I mean, Notre Dame, that would be a good victory. And a part of me would like to see that. Marcus Freeman, his first game as head coach of Notre Dame, not on an interim basis, but he has been named their withstanding long-term head coach. And I think his players are going to be very motivated and excited. But we both think Oklahoma State just has a little bit too much. Their defense is one of the best defenses in the nation. I think they get it done in a hard-fought victory, as does Charlie. We both like the Cowboys. Next game up on the list is the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day night. Another one of the New Year's 6 bowl games. This is between Baylor, the Big 12 champions, against Ole Miss from the SEC. Lane Kiffin's got his boys to 10 wins on the season. Been an awesome year for Ole Miss. Side note on this game, Baylor was 2-7 last year. What a bounce back year for Baylor and Coach Dave Aranda. Great turnaround down there in Waco. Ole Miss, news that quarterback Matt Corral, stud quarterback, is leaving early for the NFL, but he is going to be playing in this game. So that's big time news for Ole Miss, for the team and their fans. This game, how we see playing out, Charlie, he thinks Ole Miss just has way too much offense for Baylor. Their pace and space, they play fast. And I like that. I really do like that pick, but I think this Baylor team has been shunned and just been looked down upon all year, questioned. I love their defense. Jerry Bohannon, their quarterback, is fully healthy and back. Dual threat guy. I think Baylor's going to find a way to win. I like the Baylor Bears to get it done in the Sugar Bowl. Next game up is the Texas Bowl. And this game takes place on January 4th, the last bowl game before the national title game. It's between LSU from the SEC and Kansas State. A little side note on this game, LSU comes in 6-6, barely got to bowl eligibility. They have parted ways with my guy, Coach Ed Ogeron. Go Tigers! Can't be saying that anymore after this season. But LSU is looking to avoid their first losing season since 1999. So what a run LSU has been on with winning seasons. That's a really excellent and a very impressive streak. And not a losing season since 1999. So how we see this game playing out, both Charlie and I, LSU has a lot of guys who've opted out, a couple of transfers. Their starting quarterback entered the transfer portal. He's now landed at A&M. We both think LSU is going to be way too short-handed. We both like Kansas State and their quarterback Skylar Thompson to get it done. Now we have the Final Four, the Big Four. Here's what you've been waiting for. The 4 bowl games remaining are the college football playoff semifinal matchups, the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, and the Citrus Bowl between our Iowa Hawkeyes and the Kentucky Wildcats. Let's start off with that, the Citrus Bowl. And yesterday I did a very special episode. I did a 40-minute preview on the Citrus Bowl. Keys to victory, matchups to watch, game changers, etc., like Yul Brenner would say in the King and I. So if you haven't watched it, tune in, check it out. I don't think you'll like it. I think you'll love it. Check it out, my Citrus Bowl preview from yesterday. This game, little side note, Iowa comes in on a 3-game bowl winning streak, looking to extend that to 4 games. This is the first ever meeting between these two teams, Kentucky and Iowa. Overall, Coach Kirk Ferentz has a 9-8 record in bowl games, so looking to stay above 500. How I see this game playing out, let's look at what Charlie thinks first. He likes Kentucky. He just thinks they have a little bit better offense. They don't have as many question marks as the Iowa offense does. He's taken the Wildcats. It's a good pick. And I absolutely agree with him and all of you watching. The Iowa offense this season has been suspect, putting it lightly. And they're going to be without their most dynamic running back and player overall on offense. Tyler Goodson has opted out for the NFL. He's sitting this game out. But he really wasn't a huge factor all year because of the issues with the Iowa offensive line. I think you give Kirk Ferentz almost 4 weeks to prepare for a bowl game. They need to be more creative on the offensive side of the ball. I think they will. And I look at these two teams, I can't say that, yep, Kentucky is clearly better, or nor can I say Iowa is clearly better. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. And Iowa necessarily doesn't have to have a running game to win, and they've proven that this year. They've had one of the 10 worst offenses all year, but yet they got to 10 wins, incredibly. And I'll talk more about that at the end of year wrap-up episode I'll do, probably in the next week and a half, for Iowa to be in this position, to be winners of 10 games, to get to the Big Ten title game with those issues offensively. It is really impressive. So the stat to me, and this is what I'm landing on the line with, not just because I'm an Iowa fan, I want them to win, but I look at the key stat from yesterday that I shared in my Citrus Bowl preview episode, turnover margin. Kentucky comes in negative 13 turnover margin. That's 3rd worst in the nation, compared to Iowa, who comes in plus 13 turnover ratio, 3rd best in the nation. One team gives the ball away, doesn't create many turnovers. One team doesn't give it away, but creates a lot of turnovers of their own. That's the Hawkeyes, so I'm taking Iowa in this matchup. Go Hawks, get it done. Next is the Rose Bowl game, the granddaddy of them all. For me, it's the apex of college football, the greatest spectacle we have, something that means so much to me, near and dear to my heart. It's something I always want Iowa to be in. The next time they make the trip, I am heading west, young man. I will be in attendance in Pasadena. The next time Iowa is in the Rose Bowl, I promised myself and you, the black and gold family, it will happen. Little side note on this game. This is Utah. This game is between Utah, the Utes, the two Utes, and the Ohio State Buckeyes. This is Utah's first ever appearance in the Rose Bowl. If you recall, they joined the Pac-12 not all that long ago. So congratulations, the Pac-12 title winners, making their initial trip to Pasadena. And Ohio State, unfortunately, we have big-time opt-out news. Two of their stud wide receivers, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, have decided to opt out. And I get it. These two will absolutely be first-round draft picks, but it absolutely blows my cranium to think that people are opting out of the Rose Bowl game. The granddaddy of them all. I can't... When did the Rose Bowl become so uneventful, unimportant? I get it. The college football playoff bowl games, they do mean the most overall towards a national title. I get that, but it seems like every other bowl game is just, it's just so, cast it aside. Doesn't matter. I never thought I would have seen this moment where key players opt out of the Rose Bowl. It's very disheartening and discerning. And how we see this bowl game playing out, Charlie, he still likes Ohio State. They still have plenty of offensive firepower. They do, even without those two playing. Me, I'm going with Utah. They're a physical team, and Josh Gaddis said it after the Michigan thumping of Ohio State at the end of the game that they're a finesse team, not a physical team. And I absolutely believe Utah is one of the most physical teams in the nation. I'm going with Utah over Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Now we get to the two college football semifinal playoff games. Here we go. Let's start with the Orange Bowl between Michigan and Georgia. Big time matchup. Can't wait to watch this one tomorrow on New Year's Eve. A little note on this one. This is Michigan's first trip to the college football playoff, and this is Georgia's second trip ever to the college football playoff. This game is going to be physical, and Charlie and I actually are both in agreement. Georgia dominated the regular season 12-0, giving up less than a touchdown per game. Defensively, just an incredible stat. But they got absolutely throttled, blitzkrieged, embarrassed by Alabama in the SEC title game. I think there will be a lot of doubt mentally in that locker room and in their heads. I just think Georgia now really is going to come out unsure of themselves because they finally played a team in Alabama that could challenge them. And we saw what happened, and they got out to a 10-0 lead and still got absolutely embarrassed and beat down by the Tide. And also, I think Georgia, Alabama, and Coach Nick Saban is definitely in their heads and in Coach Kirby Smart's heads. So even knowing if they beat Michigan, they may have to face Alabama, which they probably will, for the national title. I like Michigan, and they are playing better and hotter than anybody right now. They are hotter than Texas chili. They believe in themselves, in each other, and their chances. We're both taking Michigan to win the Orange Bowl over Georgia. Now the big one, the Cotton Bowl, the second college football semifinal between Alabama and Cincinnati, and what a season it has been. Monumental, historic season for Cincinnati. They've broken the glass ceiling. They are the first ever non-Power 5 team to reach the college football playoff. Let's see how this game plays out. Little side note. Obviously, Cincinnati's first trip to the college football playoff, first ever by a non-Power 5 program. But Alabama, this is their 7th trip to the college football playoff. What a story it's been all year. I just think, and Charlie and I both agree, that the Cinderella story, the Cinderella ride for Cincinnati, unfortunately, it will come to an end. The clock will strike midnight, and they will turn back to the proverbial pumpkin, not just because of themselves, but because they are playing Alabama and the GOAT, Nick Saban. We just think Bama does win this game. But what a story it would be if Cincinnati could win this game. That, once again, just Cincinnati being here, folks, is the equivalent, if you're a college basketball fan, which I know a lot of you are. I love March Madness. Them getting to the playoff field is the equivalent of a 16 seed beating a 1 seed in the March Madness tournament, which has happened only once, a handful of years ago. Maryland, Baltimore County over Virginia. So what a season, but we both like Alabama to beat Cincinnati and move on to the college, into the national title game against Michigan. So that's it. That's the wrap to my part 3 of 3 for my big bowl bonanza preview and predictions episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free once again, like, share, subscribe, comment the hell out of it. It's yours to have fun with. And I will be back next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, kind of a review of these bowl games. Maybe do a slight little look ahead at the national title game. Can't wait for that. The season is coming to an end here for most of our schools. But hey, I'm not going to get depressed quite yet. I've got a few more episodes left in me. But until next week, once again, I'd like to wish all of you a very happy and safe New Year. Enjoy yourself, celebrate responsibly, party, have a good time. But first and foremost, enjoy the football, the food, your families, your friends, the festivities. Have a good one. Until next week, I'll talk with you then. Thanks for joining me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. See you next week, and go Hawks.